it honestly feels a bit weird being back in this position at this stage, doing this again. Exactly a year ago, as of me uploading this, I in turn uploaded the first videos that would go onto this channel, the Ragnarok Chronicles, where I would, for the most part, talk to you about the lore of the books that I'm writing, / have written by this point in the case of the first sub-series. The idea was that on every Thursday, say I'd upload a video, which for the most part I achieved, and I'm proud of myself for that, and for the most part talking about the books in certain capacities or the writing process itself, something like that, but also sprinkling in some other things, for instance, where you had the Making a Sequel series, introducing you to other story concepts that I've come up with, not related to my books themselves, but taking existing franchises and thinking how can we continue those. Those 4 videos that did go up on the 1st of August 2020 were actually meant to go up on the Thursday prior, because everything else is going to be going on Thursdays. However, for whatever reason, that day, and I haven't really experienced this since, except with videos that are that long anyway, but for whatever reason, when I was trying to upload those to YouTube, it was just taking hours, and it became very quickly clear that by the time they had processed, it would be far beyond the time I wanted to be launching them, let alone having time to add in the description and do. Actually, I don't think I was doing your iCards at that point, but all that sort of stuff as well. So I just postponed it to the first of the month because that was a good starting point anyway, even if we then continued on Thursdays after that. I was always open about the fact that the whole function of this channel was to give you another outlet or a means of finding out about the books that I'm writing, this way free, other than you would be spending time, although you'd be spending time reading the books as well, be doing paying for the books, you can watch these for free. These can give you a flavour of maybe the kind of stories that I tell, if not specifically about those 4 books. The mission statement was that I'll be using this also to talk about things from further ahead in the franchise that I wouldn't otherwise be dealing with for years to come. However, with the releases of the books, I did end up talking about stuff related to those as well as part of cross-promotion. Point is, those 4 books also got released over those last 12 months, which was another, obviously, big part of my scheduling of what I was doing with my life. So, success there as well. Now jump forward to more recently. Over the last 4 Thursdays, I have uploaded once. And this video here is going to be the last one for a while. Not the last ever, I'm sure I will upload more in the future, but I can't be doing with this weekly uploading anymore, as I've been doing it. From the beginning, I was aware that doing weekly content, even though it's just 1 video a week, that's still a lot, because there are, the weeks come around and around, and even before I was thinking of doing channels myself, it was always a marvel that YouTubers, who granted are in a position by that point where they can dedicate their entire just lives and schedules to it, but how they are able to keep on churning out content, things to cover and do and film. But yeah. It's not that I don't have things to talk about, because I've got a whole franchise of planned books to talk about, and I've alluded to I've outright stated previously that I have a schedule going through into mid-next year. Even though you've not seen that schedule, you don't know what it is, I have a breakdown of what I talk about, different aspects, and it was all planned out that we wouldn't just clump concepts together, we'd be going backwards and forwards to keep it mixed up. But so that's not the problem. And it's not that I don't want to do it. Some of the stuff I've done for this channel, I really do like. With the content, with me just talking to you against this wall, how well I go about talking that, because a lot of the time I've never had it scripted, but a lot of the time I didn't even have a breakdown of what I was going to talk about. It was just what happened at the time, and then we'll try to rescue it in editing. But there's cases of that. I'll go back and forth on the quality of the video, but I'm aware that this sort of thing isn't probably the greatest thing to watch and subscribe to and all of that, but I'm playing to what I can do, what I know I can talk about, and using what is my honest energy. So the point was, I do like stuff that will come out of this. While not related to the book side of things, in terms of the making a sequel, I love what I came up with for my making a Mario sequel, that whole Google Doc, which is linked in the description of that video, which also, with amendments that I've made since, is now 90-something thousand words. I love what I came up with that. I'd love to hear what people think about it, but I realise that, I might as well just be asking, tell me about the books. And if it comes down to it, I'd ask that you read the books, although Mario document is free if you'd rather just go over some notes and breakdowns of ideas of Mario games, also bringing in Zelda and overall Nintendo multiverse stuff. It's not that I don't want to make stuff. I do enjoy what I make here. But I have said in various places before that I don't like posting on social media. Or I don't like talking nebulously to the outside world in general. I much prefer just talking directly to someone, in which case I will just do that in direct messages. Or, even if it's literally the case of someone has made a public post and stuff, or that some public thing, I'd still, rather than commenting, go to the direct message. Or talking in real life. I would much prefer, well, first of all, to talk to someone face-to-face anyway, because then I have confirmation that they do want to be talking to me, rather than me, interjecting into online discourse in which I wasn't technically invited, so I don't have confirmation that they want me talking there. And me being tagged into something has only happened a couple of times in my life. But you have that, but I'd rather do it in a private place rather than public, because still then, even if they're not listening and I don't care, I could be overheard by other people, and it's not like it's not that I have secrets that I don't want to be heard, but just in general, I am not talking to them, they are not the audience. You don't want to be hearing someone's music playing too loudly on public transport. You don't want to be hearing me. The idea of just talking to the internet, either literally like this, or posting on Twitter or Instagram or whatever it is, even if you're getting an audience over time, still you're not giving a one-to-one or one-to-a specific group discourse. You're just letting something out to the ether and allowing it to be publicly consumed if it is noticed at all. That is just wrong to me. Why don't I, in that case, just go out into the street and start screaming? There's basically no difference in equivalence in my mind. Why would I be doing that? You don't do that. And in the end, the same has become of this. This is slightly different because I have a camera that I'm talking to, and there are you guys, subscribers, or whoever happens to come across this video, but still, it's not something I'm wholly comfortable with in principle. I haven't been throughout. And it gets to the point where I put off recording these for as long as possible. I will. It's not that, I don't know what to say. Like, I'll have a notion of things. I'll talk about this stuff. But I will just pace for literal hours before I bring myself to put the camera on. Because I should not be heard. I am happiest and most comfortable on my own, silent, just creating stuff. This is not my comfort zone. This is not what I enjoy doing. You know what I mean? I enjoy what we're discussing here, so I'm playing to my strengths. This is what I like doing, but the mode through which I'm doing it. This video itself, I'm doing this less than 24 hours before it goes up. I was meant to record this days ago, but I just kept putting it off. Not because I didn't know what to say. Oh, I had, basically, these are the points I'm going to hit. But just that act of setting up and talking to the camera, rather than just talking it through myself. Literally, just before recording this, I rattled through this just to myself in my head in my bedroom. No problem. But now, so you may be noticing edit cuts, I'm having to plough through, and just starting is like trying to push through a repulsive force. Like everything's, do not start talking. And I mentioned in the new updated channel introduction video, which I only did like a month ago, I mentioned in that I have a new job. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in that. I've mentioned it at some point. I have a new job, and I said that shouldn't affect the uploads. Well, it has, because, with my time now being limited anyway, because I'm doing shifts most days, the time that I have left, I'm going to be wanting to do things that I will want to be doing. Writing or researching, taking notes, applying to other opportunities which might get me more creative opportunities in the future. This, by contrast, recording these videos, as I compare to that, wherein I can feel like I'm making progress because I am writing the thing, or in the notes case or the research case, this is going to help me when I do write the thing, or the applications, it's helping the future. With this, even though I am doing this with you guys, the audience, it comparatively feels like I'm just talking to a wall. I am just saying, okay, for a few hours this week, both on the day that I record and then the day that I edit it, I'm just going to put aside everything that's productive and just sink my time into this because I have been doing it. The reason I might not have stopped sooner is because that would create a sense of failure. I set out to do this and I would do it weekly, and to stop would be to admit that I couldn't do what I set out to do. Meanwhile, this right here, it being the year milestone, it's a little easier for me because we as humans like to add significance to things. Because it has been a year, because it is actively a milestone, today is basically my window of opportunity in my own mind, how I think of things, that I can accept, okay, we've reached this point, you can now step back. Still continue in the future. I don't know what those videos are going to take the form of. I mentioned already here that I have my schedule of things that I'll talk about, but to just come back to do a video that would be a regular one might feel odd, just every so often, just a random, okay, now another one. It feels like maybe if there has been a hiatus, then there'll want to be something more to it. I don't know, but to try to keep on point with this, there is a sense of, why should I do this at this point? I was never under any sort of delusion that this would pick up, or whatever it was. That's acknowledged already. I know this isn't the optimum content that you probably choose to watch if you come across it at all. But it doesn't seem like I'm getting anything out of this, anything productive. So if I have limited time left in my days outside of work, I'm going to prioritise the other stuff, sacrificing this. Originally, I came up with the idea to do YouTube as a way of extra marketing for this, because God knows that I am bad at marketing on other social media, all of which end up going this sort of route anyway. The Facebook page is dead. The Instagram is on hiatus. Twitter goes up and down as to how much I use it, but it's probably feels forced. The newsletter, if you're aware of that on the website, I was so glad when I could put that on hiatus. And so this is going the same way. Because any form of... My mother has more than once said to me, I need to learn to be part of, social society and interact with the world around me, but that isn't easy for me, and I'm not trying to overplay that it's so difficult for myself. Like, I am aware comparatively that I am very privileged and well off. I know that. But relative to myself, interacting with the outside world, not easy for me. To wit, say, in lieu of that kind of marketing, would do this. That was an idea in 2017. By the time we got to 2020, I was actually meaning to eventually do 3 channels to try to increase the chances as much as possible of me, attention being drawn to this one. So obviously you'd have this going on as it is, as the main one I'd be trying to go through, but I'd also do a second one, which would be more educational about maths and science and so forth, with my prior background as a tutor for maths and science. I've tried to work out how to do that. And then the third one, if you watched my April Fool's video, was basically going to be that. Short videos, in those cases it would literally be, well, if you didn't see it, as well as it just being a random thing, April Fools. Yeah, the idea was that I had a random thing on my phone. It would click it, it would spit out one of the predetermined options, which would be a genre of song, and I would then try to, on the spot, without any foreplanning of what it was going to be, sing a cappella a song that fit into that category. That was what that channel was going to be. Not because I'm saying I'm a brilliant singer by any way, but but songs are going to be more searchable. They're more likely to be clickable, and because they're to be shorter videos, people are more likely to watch them. And then through that, if people are doing that, whatever they thought of how I performed, if that also then contained links to this channel, that might increase the chance of people coming here, finding out the books, leading to the books. So that ultimately, eventually, hopefully, maybe I can earn more off of my books so that I can afford to dedicate more time to them and do better by my creative crafts. There is no way that would have happened. We just stuck with this one, and this one was fine. It worked for these 12 months. Faltered at the end a bit, but we did it. That's the main thing. I wouldn't have wanted for this anniversary video to have perhaps quite a downer tone to it, but here we are. What would I have wanted instead? Originally, as is still the case if I've had the time to do it, was that we would introduce the idea of a new playlist on the channel, which is, the quintessential videos. In the descriptions of each of the videos that I do, if within the video I am building upon something that has potentially been talked about in a previous one, or I specifically cite this video I've talked about, I would link that video before. So I'll go through all the descriptions of the videos that I've done and find out, which videos have I linked to the most, because they then are the ones which, if you watch these, you'll have these set up for subsequent videos that we talked about. I can tell you already that one of them is going to be explaining the multiverse. If it's not now, that's going to bite me. But I'm pretty sure that's going to be one. But either way, that's something. That should be linked in the iCard. If not, when this video goes up at some point soon afterwards, remember to do that. Also, in terms of what's happening with the channel still, even after this, marks an end for regular uploads at this point, I will, at some point, knowing me, it's still not going to be immediately, but at some point, I am going to make use of a new feature from YouTube, which was rolled out at some point during the last year when I was doing these, which makes it easier to assign captions to videos, to make them more accessible for what it's worth, for what people may come across these videos. But I'll do that, I'll add those, but go back to the old ones. With the time that I now have not recording, but also not doing other things like writing, research, etc. When the videos do come back, it won't be a regulated thing. It won't be like, I'll make sure still to do a video a month or something like that, because knowing me, with past experience, with other things that I have done to try to promote myself in ways that just don't feel natural to me because it involves projecting myself, I know that if I say we'll do it once a month, I will leave it to the final hour of the last day of the month. Not because I'm just being lazy about it, I'll do it later, because there is that sense of a wall of I can't start it, or it's difficult to start it, because reasons that I have already tried to outline in terms of speaking nebulously being counter to what feels right to me. Speaking without a direct recipient. So I put it off because that's something, maybe tomorrow I'll be in a better position to try to do that. Until it gets to the stage where I have to do it now, otherwise I am not keeping up with what I set myself, at which point I am failing. So rather, instead of that, it will just have to be on a whim. It will show up at some point. I'll probably still, if I can, try to have it at Thursdays just before 10 PM British time, but we'll see. No premeditation, no regulation towards it, just we'll see what happens. With that, thank you for watching. Whether you've been here for the entire time of the channel, or this is the first one you're seeing, or you joined partway in the middle and you've just watched a couple of videos here and there, thank you for, as I say, just watching what it is that I have tried to put out here in this experiment of a channel. If you weren't here from the beginning, you can of course go back and see what ones you haven't seen. If you have seen them all anyway, you can watch them again. There's lots to go through. You can search by playlist or just scroll through, see what might take your fancy based on the titles and thumbnails, see if I in any way did a good enough job with those with my amateur editing skills, or in terms of titles, labelling them. Yeah, I will have not done myself any favours with the current YouTube algorithm by putting numbers in the titles, but whatever, I insisted on going by a theme. We made it to a year. Happy birthday to the channel, so there is plenty to watch, some of which very long, but it's there for you to check out if you want. Also, again, marked the release of the first set of 4 books, because the end of August will be 1 year since Gift of the Manson came out. I will be, I'm aiming to do a thing on Amazon where I can temporarily, offer a promotion on the ebook at least, wherein that will be available for free. So if you haven't read Gift of the Manson yet and you read ebooks, check out my other social medias, so probably going to be Instagram and Twitter, to find out when that's the thing, to be able to grab your copy of that first book for free, to give it a go, and if you like it, consider carrying on with the rest of the tetralogy. With that, I think all that there remains for me to say is, as ever, until I do see you again, whenever that ends up being, just remember to keep on telling stories. Thank you.